Live. Hey, everybody. We are live. Let me know if you guys could hear. We got Eileen here.
Hi.
Wait, I want to see. I might be able to hear. Okay, I thought I was hearing an echo, but I guess I'm not. Okay, so Let me see what people are saying in chat. Make sure everybody could hear us. Hello from Florida Central. Melanie, I like to wait a few minutes and say hi because sometimes it takes a minute to pick up and so everybody could come in. Hey, Mark Klein, Ballet Babe. Got Eileen here. She's got some interesting stuff to share with us, I tell you. So I think it's going to be a good live. And like I said, hopefully you guys came with some questions. I have a bunch of questions, and thanks to K-Clo, my mom wrote me out some questions too.
Good.
Oh shoot. So they say hello. Yeah, they could hear us both from Michigan.
Great.
Okay. Mexico, Ubia Cores. Wow, that's nice. So Eileen, do you want to introduce yourself or?
Sure. I'm Eileen, and not going to say last name for protection purposes. I am a former cult member of a Doomsday Cult in Texas, and I was there for 17 years. 2 years before that, I was studying their literature, and I went there by myself with my children, and then 2 years later, my husband followed, well, almost 3, but he followed me in there, and we got stuck for 17 years. He's still there. He shuns us and his children, myself and his children. I'm still married to him, but I am not with him at all, heart, mind, or spirit. But I still love him, and there's nothing I can do to help him get out. He's got to do it on his own.
Do you think he'll ever get out, or you think he's going to be in it for life?
No, because he cheated on me before the cult, so he has the opportunity to have as many women as he wants there. So yeah, that's a problem. So vulnerability is the biggest issue for people joining cults. Children that are going, remember I spoke to you a little bit earlier, but children who are going to college, they target colleges. Most cults will have literature they either bring to your door, they leave tracts places.
Yeah, she found one at tell them how you found out about this. Wait, just a real quick question. When you looked at it first, when you were like studying their literature, did you look at it like it was a cult, or what were you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, because the literature, they always tell you just enough truth to pull you in. Then when they have you, like I was saying, you get caught up in it, and fear is a big factor. The manipulation, cults are not unlike covert narcissists or megalomaniacs. They all have the grandiose personalities. They can be quiet, seem, really nice on the outside, but inside they're raving wolves. And they will break laws. They will encourage people to cheat the government. And it was a polygamous cult I was in, of course, and lots of the FLDS, the Warren Jeffs cult, was actually happening when I was leaving, when he was being brought to trial for the 14-year-old girl. And he's in prison. He still rules those people.
Oh, he was the leader of the cult, the one that got in trouble for basically molesting his daughter, you said?
His daughter. Yeah, that was his
daughter. He was one of the leaders of the cult?
No, the one that I was talking about, the one that wanted to let me tell everybody. The biggest reason, I was struggling inside for years. Because I was a stay-at-home mom. I homeschooled them. I did everything for my children. Like, I was never away from them. So when I got caught up in it, it was just natural for me to just follow. I had just enough scripture to think, okay, this is the truth, but they have so many truths mixed in with little lies, but the little lies become the biggest truths for them. And then they manipulate you. They bring you to their beliefs. And they even change things. It's like the frog in the pot, right? The water's cold in the pot, and they heat it up. They keep heating it up until you're cooked after that. You don't even realize you were cooked. And coming out, like I said, I told you earlier, I felt like I was coming out of a dream state. And that's why I was telling you about Melanie. I look at her and I see me in 2007. The words she uses for murder, she uses pass away. The cults run your vocabulary. They run your whole life. Every aspect of your life is controlled. Men.
Go ahead.
Men own women in most cults. That's just typical. And yeah, they brainwash you. Totally brainwash you.
Good question this was one of my questions I was going to ask you here. Do you see it said, oh wait, that's not the right one, but that is a good comment. It says, oh, here it is. How long did it take you to realize it was a cult? Like how long, this is a question I had. I was going to ask you a little bit later, but from the minute that you realized it was a cult, how long did it take you to get out? Like, were you in this period where you were like scared and you waited a while and you realized what it was, or was it like?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
I at one point, I lost myself completely. I didn't even want to be on the earth anymore. I was so dead inside, and it was eating me alive. The gut instinct that Shanann ignored, it was there. It's always there. But we have to listen to that gut instinct. And if we don't, we're going to get in trouble, big trouble. The gut instinct is always there. It was there for Melanie. She just didn't see it. And when she's still coming out of it, because like I said, I even took up for the cult I was in for at least a year after I left, even though they wanted my daughter, who was almost 15, to marry a 40-year-old man with 5 other wives. And I told my husband, I didn't cuss for years and years and years. Like, that was completely out of my vocabulary. And I cussed him out. And I said, she's not getting married to a 40-year-old man. And she's not going to be the 6th wife. So, and he mistreated him. I knew that. But my husband started mistreating me as well, which is taught there now. It's actually taught that they can whip you, and if you're bad, like little women have to just, okay, yes, sir. Like almost like Stepford wives. Oh, here is your coffee, honey. No.
Man, wow.
No.
So when you were in it, they weren't like, were they whipping you then? When you
no.
were in it,
No. This happened right after, about right after I left. When the man that my daughter was going to be betrothed to, engaged, that's what they use as for engage. He was molesting his from 8 years old to 11 years old, his stepdaughter. And he's in prison in Texas now, thankfully. And hopefully he'll stay there for another at least 5-10 years, I hope. He was convicted for 30 years. So it was difficult, believe me. And the thing that glued me, I was telling Tiffany that that I went on January 18th of 93. And a month later, Waco happened. We were at the feast of Passover when the Waco cult burned down. He was preaching at the time that we were the ones that were supposed to be targeted. they did have some Black Hawk helicopters coming over us. And to this day, I have PTSD about that because the fear factor was so bad. Like, they're going to come kill us. He kept telling us that they're going to come kill us. And he says, but Yahweh protected us. Yeah. But like I was saying, all of those people in the Waco cult, it is our government made many mistakes, but one person, just like Chris Watts, is guilty, and that's David Koresh. He's the one that manipulated people. He was a megalomaniac. Most cult leaders are megalomaniacs. 99.9999. So yeah, so I actually I saw somebody say, how did I get out? I actually had to escape. I called the police.
Wow.
I called the police because they had us not trusting anybody in our families. They had us telling on each other if we did something bad. It was just total chaos, it was terrible. So I called the police, and guess what? They wouldn't help me. They wouldn't come get me. So I had to confide in my son. And thankfully, he says, Mom, I've been wanting to tell you this for I don't know how long, but I'm so sick of this. And I said, I am too, baby. And we couldn't even hug anymore. That's how separated we were,
Oh
and
my gosh. Wow.
they use everything in the book to keep you separated from each other in some form or fashion.
That's what I was wondering. I was watching a couple movies, and they were like documentary types, and they would separate the children from the parents.
Yes.
Like everybody. So they did that with your kids too?
Oh,
then?
yeah. They had to work. Children had to work. They went to school, but they had, like, at your home, you could teach them to read and write or arithmetic, but they had to work for the cult as well.
Did they have you go out and like panhandle for money and stuff, or like how?
No, actually,
okay.
actually, in the end, I would say 2001, maybe, he started bringing in Muslim teachings. So it was a Christian, Judeo, Muslim, and many other religions, as many as he could figure out, to get as many people there as possible for the most income for the cult. And that's what cults are, is money, power, greed, and lust.
So he would try to, because you were saying how your husband, ex-husband, or I know you're still married, but you're not with him anymore. He actually made a lot of money.
Yes.
So they made him, you said they made him an elder really quick. How long would it take normally for, like, what is the privileges that an elder has compared to?
Not much.
I don't know the terminology. Okay.
You have to be perfect. Like, in order to have you have to have high standards and be without flaw, and nobody can be without flaw. I'm sorry, it's not possible. It's an impossible situation to try to become perfect. Look, we had to keep the 613 laws in the Old Testament. Well, let me tell you something. You can't keep those laws. There's a little video, and it's called the 613 Laws. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll go in there and watch it. It's a music video. It's hilarious, and it's sad at the same time. But it'll show you it's serious. It's seriously crazy of some of the laws that they had to keep. We had to keep. So yeah, oops, I'm sorry, my phone is
You got your landline too. Everybody gets a kick out of it.
I have a landline.
We're landline buddies. So you said you did escape. So do you have to answer that phone? Okay.
No.
You're good. Okay.
No.
So you escaped on foot? Like you just like took off?
Well, I didn't finish. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I get a little discombobulated sometimes because there's so much in my brain. So I went to my son and I said, I'm afraid, but I have to ask you, please bring me to the bus station because I've got to get out and I got to get these kids out of here. And I had no way of getting out. I had nothing to my name. anymore, like nothing. So I called my family, and my family was so accepting. Like I couldn't even associate with my family.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
they separate you completely. And so when he said, "Mom, I've been wanting to get out for years. I just didn't want to leave you here."
Mhm.
And I said, "Alan, I really, I'm so sorry this has all happened." And I went through so much guilt after that. Melanie's going to go through that. You know, I really feel I have empathy for her, because even though she's,
Wait,
I
before
don't know,
you, everybody was wondering which Melanie. She's talking about Melanie Gibb, guys, because people
Gib,
have been asking in the
yeah,
chat room to ask you. So when she talks about like it reminds her of her, she's talking about Melanie Gibb. But go ahead.
yeah. So Melanie, I see Melanie, and I see myself in Melanie, like when she uses the word pass away instead of murder. It's really, words, and they control every aspect of your life. It's not fun. It really isn't. And it becomes grievous, and you get to the point where you just, like me, I didn't even want to live anymore, because I had nothing. I had my children to live for. But if that was going to be the kingdom of heaven, it was hell. Who would want to live in that? Like, why would you want to be thumb pressed your whole life? Like, even their scripture, they totally screwed up the scriptures. Like, they started writing their own things in there. Oh, this is what this means, and this is what that means. It's translated wrong. I agree, the Bible does contradict itself in places. It really does. But they completely changed the words at those contradictions, or seem to be contradictions. So I don't know.
Do you still read the Bible, and are you
Nope.
still a believer or no?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't know what I am right now still. Um, like I said, I'm cynical. I don't trust anybody. I mean, I don't trust. It's hard for me to trust loyalty, I guess. Like, can I trust that person's loyalty? I don't know. It's because they had us tattling on one another. It's really hard.
How were you brought up? Were you brought up in a religious family?
Yeah. Well, I
Okay.
was raised Roman Catholic. We knew
Okay.
nothing about the Bible, being Roman Catholic. Like, all we knew was the first letter of Paul to the Corinthians. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put any religions down. I'm just telling you what I went through. So I didn't know scriptures, being Roman Catholic. I'm not going to say that it's wrong. I don't want to believe that our Creator can be so shallow that he would want to destroy his own child or children, like, for not, like, sacrificing a goat or a turtle dove, or yeah, no. And I don't know, just, we had to, at one point, like I said, they brought in Muslim teachings, so they covered the women completely. We couldn't even turn our heads to a man's direction, or we would be whores. We couldn't speak to a man that wasn't even our husband's. Like I said, they separated. Even when my sons turned 13 years old, we could no longer hug. I couldn't teach them any scripture or anything. Like,
But
they
what do
were,
they say the reason? I mean, why would that be bad? Do they give a reason why you can't hug your own
no,
child?
no, it's just for them to have
Control.
power and control over you. And that's exactly what it is. It's just power
Did
and
they go
control.
by like okay, so you said it was like a doomsday cult. Did they have did
Yeah.
they talk about like the
Oh, yeah.
date? What was the date? Did it ever
Okay.
pass that?
The first one was 2000.
Okay,
The year
okay.
2000, the world, remember Y2K, was supposed to
Yeah.
end. But before that, y'all go, everybody might laugh at this, but you'll see why women were put down. He said that Satan was a female.
Oh wow. I know. Well, okay. I mean, I get what he was probably trying to do
And
there.
that's
Gosh,
and
wow.
Satan. Satan was on her way back from Jupiter when the Shoemaker Levy comet was in the sky, that it was actually a spaceship on the way here to and like the some of the things Melanie was saying about the different lives, the different probations, that they had to come back and she was in a higher realm at that point. Yeah, they started teaching that kind of stuff too. That's why I'm saying some of the things that he was using are LDS and FLDS teachings. Like, they don't tell everybody that, but she just let people know just recently that they do believe in some of that stuff.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what happened? Okay, so when it wasn't the end of the world in 2000, how did they explain that? What did they say?
They go, oh, we just found some Bible code that came into the play.
Oh, geez.
Bible code said that it's going to be this day. So that day passed as well, which I think was 2002. And then after I left, they had two more, 2006, I believe. And then, of course, 2012, that the Mayan calendar ended.
Yeah,
That's when. That one. And now we have July 22nd.
So they believe in the July 22nd too?
No. I'm sure he might. I don't know. Maybe that's where they're getting it from. I don't know. I can't tell you that because I don't listen to any of their stuff. I know you look so shocked.
No, it's just wow.
It is. It's
how
so
did you guys prepare for that day? Like when that day was like coming and it was like, oh my God, that day's tomorrow. Like, what did you guys all do to prepare? Were you guys like bunker down, like ready for that?
We bought $20,000 worth of food storage that rats wound up eating. We had underground lockers, where you could go to be saved from the doomsday, like nuclear war or whatever.
Yeah. Were you scared those days? Like, were you petrified? Okay, I bet.
Yes.
Wow.
Of course. Yeah. It was terrible. It really was. Yeah. It's not fun.
Yeah. So what did you think was going to happen? Like, how did they say the world was going to end? What were some of the ways?
The book of Revelation, kind of, it has like different parts. Like it would be there's a scripture that says 3.5 years, the tribulation, and then another 3.5 years. The rest of the stuff would happen. I can't even remember all of it anymore because I want it out of my brain because I don't want to even go there anymore because I don't want to believe that a creator could be so shallow and so detailed that, you can only come to heaven if you sacrifice your son, Abraham, excuse me. So really? You can only come to heaven if you sacrifice your son? Yeah, that seems a little bit crazy.
I don't know. Wow.
Or you can only come to heaven if you bring a cow for a sacrifice and burn him completely and then spread his ashes around. Oh, just crazy stuff. It was crazy.
Do you think you'll ever change your mind about that? Or do you think you're in the stage? What stage would you be considered? Or because remember you said you're going to go through stages of.
There's 5 stages. No, 5, okay. Not 5, 7. Yeah, 7. It's 7 stages. I'm sorry, it's 10. I missed the other paper, but stage 1 is it begins almost immediately after conversion. The mind and will maybe be completely taken over by logic presented by the cult. However, the gut feeling, emotions, it's in your gut, something's wrong because it's hurting you. It's bothering you. It's going to drive you nuts, literally. And that's what was driving Shanann nuts when she got caught by the manipulator. Her husband he was a manipulator, obviously. And then that your subconscious or your consciousness will it'll indicate something's wrong. There'll be a little thing in your head. Like there was a point when they actually had X-rated sermons in front of and inclusive of children, men, women, and children. Now, the men and women were separated by a barrier, like the men were on one side and the women were on the other, but the women had the children with them.
Okay.
So it was the men, the women, and the children, men on one side, women and children on the other side, unless the boys were over 13. So
what would they do? I mean, you said X-rated. What?
X-rated. The guy that's in prison brought out X-rated sermons, and when I say X-rated, pornographic X-rated. And I can remember going home and feeling so dirty, and I was so angry inside. Okay, the fear causes anger, anger causes hate. You know that, and then you just lose yourself completely, and you don't want to be living. I don't know.
So what are I mean, when does it start? Well, like what stage do you think that you're in? I mean, are you already past all the stages after you get out, do you think, or are you still struggling?
No.
Okay, so you're still, because 17 years is
dreams.
a long time. Okay.
Yeah, I have PTSD when I hear a Black Hawk helicopter come over my house.
Oh, wow.
When I hear an airplane, when I hear a scripture, just different
How
things.
How are your kids doing?
Smell.
She has 5 kids. Oh, smells are big. Yeah.
Yeah, smell.
Oh,
that's so strange how that happens. And night terrors, like having a dream that's really bad and just waking up like that abruptly and jumping out the bed crying. It's horrid. I'm not as bad anymore now. I'm doing a lot better, and
how are your kids doing? Are your kids?
Oh, they're doing great. Like,
okay.
I always encourage them, if they have any emotions or feelings that happen there, to go talk to somebody, and just make sure you're okay. And I want them to be okay. And that was my biggest thing, was to protect my children forever. And I think that's part of what got me caught up. I had just lost a baby before I went there. So that's what I was lost. Why are we here? Why am I suffering so much? I just don't understand life. And then I get the booking on the door, and then I go from one point to the other, like the extreme. It was just horrible.
And did you have to convince your husband? Because your husband didn't join for like 3 years after you. I mean, did you have to really convince him to join? And now he's still there. That's kind of crazy if you think about it.
Isn't that weird? It really is strange how that works. But yeah, so I left, and I had never been away from my children for all those years. My sons were 21. I had them 10 months apart, 10 and a half months apart in 82 and 83. Okay. And then I didn't have children until 9 years later. And that was, one in 90. I lost a baby in 90. I had one in 91, 94 and 96. So I was always with them. So leaving was the hardest thing for me to do, but I couldn't stay there anymore. I had to get my children out of there. And I knew if I stayed that I was just going to be dead and not. That's another thing. That cult has had mysterious things happen to people, murders, and nobody can prove that it was a murder. Like there was this one man, they said, committed suicide, which was totally against what he ever believed. And he was found hanging on the grounds of the cult. And the police
think they were responsible for it, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Cult. Wow.
Yeah.
What did the police say? They accepted it as a suicide?
Yeah, they did. But I also think, the police wouldn't even come help me when I wanted to leave. So that kind of made me believe, are they in the pockets? I know for Warren Jeffs,
Yeah.
they were in the pockets of the police.
Man,
You know, the
that's a
Warren
shame.
Jeffs case was really big. When I saw that, I just was like, oh my God, it was terrible.
Man.
Yeah, the guilt I go through even now, sometimes it's hard for me. Nobody can be harder on you than yourself, right? We beat ourselves up about things. You're always doing it. I'm like, stop, you're great. Quit beating yourself up.
Aw.
You know, because we are the hardest on ourselves than anybody else. And that's just our human frailties. You know, we aren't perfect. We weren't we weren't born perfect, and we can't make ourselves perfect either. We just have to live.
You are right. So Donna has said, how did they connect X-rated movies to scripture, or the X-rated stuff? How did he like incorporate that into the scripture? Did he even try?
You know,
or
like the fornication and murderers and whoremongers would not get into the kingdom of heaven, and then they would go into, okay, you want to put your you know what in. I can't even. I can't. Yeah, no.
I think I
can't
can
go there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was. Do you want worms in your mouth? And it was just. It was so horrible. Like.
Wow, yeah, I probably do have nightmares, man. I know a lot of people are asking what was the name of the cult, but you kind of wanted to keep that.
Kind of don't
to
want to.
yourself.
Yeah, I don't like saying the name of the cult. I will tell you this: if you want to know more information, there is one like a podcast that you can listen to called "I Got the Hell Out." It's another former member of where we went. I'm still friends with quite a lot of the people who left.
Okay.
And yes, like we have. Okay, in the very beginning when I first went there, it was wonderful. It was great. We camped, we sang, we praised God. You know, we did all the things that made humans feel good and feel like we had a purpose, right? But they stole it all from us. I sometimes wondered, you know, is this some kind of governmental trick after I left? Is this some kind of study they're doing? Because my counselor told me to watch the Stanley Milgram experiment and the Stanford prison experiment.
Yes,
so I watched both of those, and they are so similar to how people will do things that they would not ordinarily do, and how they can be convinced, like Hitler, for one. That was a cult, okay? He got all those people to murder 6 million Jews, right? It was a cult. He was a megalomaniac. He had ideals of grandiose thoughts. You know, he was perfect in his own eyes. You know?
Yeah.
They all hailed him. Actually, that has happened, that the leader is considered God on earth now. He's the new savior.
So wait, is it the same? The cult now is still running, right? Is it
Yes.
is it the same leader, or is it? Oh, you said the leader's in jail now, or what were you saying about that?
The second in command is in jail. Yeah.
Okay. So,
he was a leader, but not the actual like head honcho.
Okay.
He was basically second in command.
Oh, so it's still going strong. You're saying people are still in it and still joining and stuff.
I wouldn't use the word strong. There's still people there, but I don't think there's as many people that they used to have. I mean, they do have a following on the internet, but I think that's just people making extra profiles and just to have
to make it
look like they have hundreds and thousands, not hundreds and thousands, but thousands of people.
So how did you guys earn money then? If you were you working a job too, or they probably wouldn't let you work a job, right?
After a while, the women didn't work, or they encouraged the women not to work, to take care, to stay home, take care of the children. If they didn't have children, they could work. Okay. But if they had children, they had to stay home. And the women usually had to work for them, unit 2, like the children would go to work, leave them. I mean, if you think about it, pedophiles are drawn to cults and churches, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We see what happened in the Catholic Church with the priests all getting all those little boys. It's sad, but it's true, and it happens in every religion. It doesn't matter, like which one it is. Even the Judean people, they had that too. Like it was okay. It's terrible, I don't know. All in the name of religion, right?
Yeah, no, it is. I know. I mean, well, I feel like they use the name of religion to like, they use the
Yes.
I don't know. See, I would consider myself Christian right now, but I was raised Catholic too, and you're right. Like we didn't know that many. I went to Catholic school from basically kindergarten to high school.
All girl Catholic high school.
I don't know like scriptures and stuff. We knew like some of the basic things that would be like over and over, but that's about it. So I was trying to like study the Bible a little bit more lately, but because I don't know much of it, even going to Catholic schools. But I did want. Oh wait, what was I going to ask you?
To do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? Or let there be peace on earth, right?
Yeah. Did you guys have to have like a dress code? Did you? Oh,
yes.
Go ahead.
Michelle Clifford. I was a Catholic Irish girl. Yeah. So I just wanted to let her know that. Yes.
Oh yeah, you can answer if you see any questions or want to say anything. Go ahead.
I just saw that pop up. I was like, yep. I was a Catholic Irish girl. My dad had 7 children, and I had 5. So yeah, go and multiply.
And you didn't talk when you were in this cult. You didn't even talk to your family at all, basically, because they wouldn't let you.
Only if like something bad happened. Like, okay, when Katrina happened was 2005, and I saw my city. I lived in New Orleans, right? So I saw my city go underwater, and that just ate me alive. And from that point I was kind of waking up at that point. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be on the earth. And, I was just like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this if I want to leave? And I couldn't. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. So yeah, my family would try to get in touch with me. Like my grandmother died in April, and I came home in October when that happened. My brother got in touch with me. I don't know how, but he said, you missed your grandmother's funeral. And I felt so guilty. Aww. Like the guilt factor was so heavy on me. And
did they know like that you were in a cult, or what were they thinking though?
Yes, they knew. They were talking to the FBI.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, they were talking to FBI agents. There's people even that have left are still talking to FBI agents because there's so much controversial practices. Like, okay, my daughter comes home, right? And she was 14. I was so worried. I was like, like they're going to give my child away to a man that's 3 times her age, and I can't live. I can't live like this. And I kept calling lawyers, and I couldn't find anybody to help me. I was just going crazy. I wrote Dr. Phil. They even sent me a link to get up with them, but I was so afraid of being on TV, and my children didn't want to be on it. So I was like, no, I can't do that. So we skipped that. And Rick Ross is like a cult advisor, and how they deprogram people and everything. But nowadays, they can't even do that anymore because it's considered kidnapping.
What? Really?
They can't take somebody out of a cult because it's considered kidnapping.
But what if they want to? Oh, they want to leave. Okay, yes. They can't just take somebody.
But if that person wants to stay there, they can't take you.
Wow. So how many people were in the cult? Like when you were in the cult, how many people would you say? Hundreds?
Okay.
I mean, I'm curious if it was go ahead.
There were people that lived there, and then there were people that traveled there for the feasts. The 3 feasts are the Jewish feasts: Passover, Pentecost, and Shabbat, which is Feast of Tabernacles. So we kept all of those, and we went there. Like before we moved there in 2003, we we had to, I don't know. It's tough.
Oh, I bet. Man,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I didn't
Before
realize
we
you were there
moved
that
there,
long.
it was crazy. And I kind of had a feeling that I wanted to get out of there, but I just didn't know how to get out. Like when we were leaving Louisiana, I literally was crying because I really had, what was I going to do with 5 children?
Oh, you mean when you were going to move there, you were crying?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
I was actually crying.
Wow. So that's crazy that you moved
But
there
I
when.
didn't find out till I left that my husband actually quit his job. He worked for my sister and my brother-in-law's business, and he had been there for years and years. And I can tell you right now, the cult leader would have told him, hell no, you can't move here because you make too much money, and that you can even work on the Sabbath because he will have mercy on you. You can work on the Sabbath. And yeah, it was
But
crazy.
wouldn't he want to just take the money? Like when people work, did the cult leader ask for you to give them the money or no? You could
We
keep
had to
your own money.
give 3 tithes, okay? The first tithe is 10%, right? The second tithe is for you to bring to the feast and do what you want.
Okay.
That became more stringent. You could only do certain things with it, the money. And then the third tithe was for the poor on every 6th year, which is a Jewish law. It's like
Okay.
there's so many laws, it's crazy.
Do you think they really did give it to the poor or?
Hell no.
Okay, I didn't think so.
No. No, it wasn't in Louisiana. It's in Texas, but the man, I was living in Louisiana when the booklet was put on my door, and he was passing through the town, and he said he did 2 blocks on what mine was 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you didn't even talk to him. You just saw the booklet on your door, and that was enough because
I
you're in
started
such a
reading
vulnerable state.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. Yes.
So you were telling me when I was talking to you before this, you were saying how they break you down. Wait. They build you up, then break you down.
Yeah, like a narcissist does. Like they build you up, they break you down, then they discard you. Right? It's the same process. It's psychological warfare, basically.
Man.
Like I was saying, we had to listen to sermon tapes 24/7. Do you know what that does to your mind? Because it's never sleeping. Like they used the psychological warfare on the Waco cult, right? They bombarded them with all kinds of noise and crazy things. Did you see that? Did anybody see that?
You're making me. I gotta go see that
what happened?
now. Oh, you can't hear me?
I can't hear anything.
Oh shoot! I could hear you. You can't hear me?
No. Can y'all hear me?
Well, she can't even. I need. Shoot. I don't know. Can you hear me a little bit?
What happened? I don't understand.
Oh shoot!
They can both hear us?
I could hear both.
They can hear us both. What is going on?
I can hear her. Shoot.
You can hear me? I can't hear y'all. You.
Oh shoot! I don't know what to do. It doesn't show that she's muted. Of course,
you want me to go back out and come back in?
Hold on, yeah, I'll type.
It says my mic is fine. It's not muted.
Yeah, we'll have to just. Hopefully, she'll be able to come back in and come.
Okay, I'm gonna go back out and come back in.
Okay, all right, guys. Sorry. Okay, so how are y'all, guys? Maybe now I could take some questions and write them down. I've been trying to take them as I see them and write them down. I'm checking off as I ask. I have so many now because Katie Chloe, you sent me some really good ones too. My mom had some for me, but oh yeah, I wanted to ask her if she has access to if they let her have access to the internet, TV, and radio because I've been watching like some movies to prepare like Doomsday Cult movies and how they wouldn't let them have access to the outside world at all. It sounds like this one maybe she could at least at first when she wasn't living there, but let me see if I add her. Oh, you can't hear me now? Shoot, wait. Rian, everyone have a good night. I'm off and running. Oh, Rian, are you coming on? Okay, let me see if I could hear her.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Heck.
Shoot. Well, maybe we could just, because we were talking about doing this a couple parts because I do want to end up taking some questions for you guys and writing them all down because 17 years of this, there's a lot of experiences in there that I feel like that we can learn about because I want to get into like even the case and kind of ask her some questions about that with the Chad Daybell case and kind of ask her. She does think though that I did want to ask her if she thought Melanie Gibb was brainwashed, and she does says she reminds her a lot of her, like in that when you get out, you're in this like zone, like this state where you just feel like, well, I'll let her in her words, but she just described it looking at Melanie. She just saw herself when she first got out. Yeah, see, she can't hear us, guys. We might have to do a part 2 or something. But while you guys are here, write down some questions. I'm going to write them down now that I have a minute to write some down. Any questions you have. Absolutely. Oh, really? Melanie Gibb? I know Melanie Pawlowski. I don't trust a word that girl says, but maybe I don't know if she's brainwashed too. Let me see, guys. Ask some questions in the chat so I could write them down and I have them ready. Yeah. Okay, Kelly. Good. Yeah. That's a good question. And how much? Okay. Let's see, who was your guest? Oh, her name was Eileen. She was in the Doomsday Cult for 17 years, actually. And she got out in 2007, I think was the year. And her husband stayed, and she's actually technically still married to him because he won't give her a divorce. And she said it's expensive if he doesn't give her one that she'd have to pay. It would be kind of expensive. So she's technically still married to him, but he stayed. And she's the one that got him into the cult. Like 3 years. She joined it 3 years before he did. And she has 3 kids with him. Some just catching up, some people that maybe just came on. Because let's see, Julie Roga. Okay, let me see if she's back, but I don't know if she's going to be able to hear me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I don't know what's going on with this thing.
Oh, I guess not. Hey, let me text her. I'm going to text her. Maybe we'll continue this, guys, because she does have a lot more to say, and she can't hear me. That's not going to help. I mean, she's got to be able to hear me. Let me text her real quick because she's not on mute. That's what I don't understand. I could hear her and she's not on mute actually, because you could tell because the little arrow will be through the microphone. So let me text her and see. Sorry, guys, just give me 1 minute. Okay, so I'm going to ask her maybe if we could do it in part 2, maybe, I don't know, maybe later because it's not looking like she could hear for some reason. But anyway, how is everybody? Let me say hi to everybody. Zelda, Angelina, Inner Peas, Ninja, Diamond Light. How are you guys? Kind of jobs were they allowed to do? I agree, Mills. Okay, so yeah, I think she said what did she say that I did ask her a little bit about the jobs, and I'm trying to think. So yeah, you could hear her too. Yeah, and you could hear me. So let me see again. Hello?
I still can't hear. I'm sorry.
Shoot.
I don't know what's wrong with it.
All right. Well,
fine. Oh, wait.
What?
Guess what?
What?
Found the problem.
Oh.
I accidentally hit the like the up and down, but the volume button on the floor. It fell on the floor.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
No,
Okay,
believe me. Do you know how many times mine has went out and something's happened? Don't even feel bad.
Okay.
These lives are
oh my god.
unpredictable.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. Where were we at actually?
I don't know.
I did want to ask you real quick so I could check off this page and I'll be done with the
Okay.
questions on this page. Did they let you did they have like internet, TV, radio? Did they let you have like any outside stuff in?
It depended on whether you were doing research or anything for them, and I was actually doing some research. So that's kind of what I did.
Research, like what kind of research? What did they have you researching?
Like herbs, things that help you like medically. We couldn't see doctors anymore, of course. We had to heal ourselves with herbs and medicines that we made ourselves. Well, that's what I went to start telling you. When my daughter came home, she came home on 10/10/10, and she was the last one there. And so she comes home and we're walking down the pool aisle she came home really sick, by the way. We were walking down the pool aisle in Walmart, and she goes, "Oh, that's the stuff we were putting in capsules." And I said, "What? What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, we were putting that stuff right there in the bucket, that chlorine stuff, in capsules for people to take."
What?
Because it would heal them of their diseases.
So did they really think it was going to heal them, or were they trying to slowly poison people?
I think they were poisoning people.
Oh my god! Did anybody die like of a weird?
The house almost said it. It's full. There's a graveyard for the cult, and it's full of dead bodies. Literally, when I say it's full of dead bodies, and they have to bury, like the Muslims and the Jews. They bury them like within 24 hours. They are not. Their bodies have to be in the ground in 24 hours. Yes.
And the cops just left alone. There's no investigations. They kind of just left that alone.
Yeah. Well, the one that I don't know how they allowed it, but they actually did an autopsy on the man that supposedly, quote unquote, committed suicide. Yeah. I don't know. I think if somebody's so depressed, yes, that's possible. I mean, I felt like that. So I don't know. I just don't know. He had just moved there. They told him to take all of his money out of banks because the money system was getting ready to fail. So everybody was taking their money out of the banks. And then he died.
Wow. So he had just moved there. I wonder.
Oh,
do you think they took his money and then?
Yes.
Did he have oh, I see. I'm sorry, I'm a little slow here.
He had money from the sale of his home.
Wow.
And his son couldn't find anything. His trailer was. They lived in trailer. We lived in trailers. I lived in a very big house before that. But you know what? I really do appreciate now is knowing both sides of the fence. Is how it's great to have things, but it's also eye-opening for people who don't have great things.
Yeah. It makes you appreciate
really does,
things too. Yeah.
And they did teach us some good things, like literally, they did. I can't say that every experience was bad because, like I said, they build you up to break you down. But I think that what I taught my children was from myself and not them, kind of,
So
on
why
how I
did your
wanted
daughter
things.
stay in longer? Was she mad at you that you left and she wanted
Yeah,
to stay?
yeah, and my husband wouldn't even let me talk to them when I left at all.
Oh
I,
my gosh. So
I
how did
lived.
she
I
get
sat
out?
in my
Wow.
brother's living. I mean, his extra spare bedroom in a corner for at least 2 days, crying
Oh
because
my
I was
God.
so devastated, and I didn't know how I was going to get my children out. But by God, I was going to get them out. And finally, they were all gone and safe and sound. Now, like I said, my daughter came home very ill, and she had 3 surgeries and five hospital stays because of infections in her blood.
Wow.
So, just makes you wonder about what they were giving her.
Yeah, exactly. Did she feel like it was because of what they were giving her now after?
Yeah, she kind of feels like that could possibly. Yeah, I actually think he started it with me.
Oh, really? Were you starting to
Yeah,
feel like, ah?
yeah.
And then
Well,
if you're sick physically, then you could be
yes,
broken down mentally a lot easier because your body and you're just like, oh, yeah, that could be one of the Oh, hi, thanks, brassy rants. That could be, yeah, that makes
yes,
sense. Okay.
yep.
Wow,
So
man.
definitely, she thinks so. She's now a nurse, by the way,
Oh,
and
good for her.
yeah,
That's awesome.
she's awesome, girl. She was on the dean's list every year, and she's very intelligent and the sweetest person ever. And she takes care of mommies and babies. She's in labor and
Oh,
delivery, so I was very happy for her for that.
that is so, wow.
She's
Okay, that
so
is
smart.
awesome.
But all of my children, I'm so proud of all of them. They are well-rounded children, even though they came out of a freaking cult. It's
Do you
like,
guys ever talk about it,
oh
like
yes,
together? Oh,
we
you
joke about
do?
it. We have to joke about it because what else are we gonna do?
Yeah, you almost have to. You're right. That's good that you could joke about it.
We
Because if
have a
you just kept it
camaraderie.
inside, then if you just never talked about it, it probably would.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
It would eat at us.
Let me ask a couple of the questions they wanted before I finish
Sure.
mine. So a lot of people were asking, was your husband like in a polygamous marriage at all, or you said now you think he is, right?
It's possible. I wouldn't put it past him. He, like, when I found out I was pregnant with the baby I lost, um, yeah, he was cheating on me and had a baby with somebody else.
But
And
when
she
you guys
called me.
were,
She
a baby
actually,
with somebody
yeah,
else.
yeah, she
Wow.
actually
So,
called me and
man, and
said,
told you?
yes, told me she had a baby with him. And I was like, what?
Has he
And
ever met that
I was
baby?
actually pregnant at that time and I lost the baby.
Oh, that's
And
okay.
I stayed with him.
Wow.
I stayed with him. And you know what? I now see that he was very controlling. And even my children are like, yeah, he was controlling.
Wow. So he probably fits in real good at that
Yeah.
place now, huh?
Yeah. But I still feel bad for him. Isn't that weird? I don't know. It's just, I was in love with him like Shanann was in love with Chris. And,
Right.
I,
Man.
you know, I, I worshiped the ground he walked on, literally. So
So but when you were in the cult with him, he was only married to you when you were still in there then, right? Because then you
legally,
said
but that cults
legally,
don't
okay.
get married legally, but for the other women, they marry one woman
Okay.
and then have the other. They can't get certificates for polygamy. It's illegal in most
Yeah,
states,
okay. Okay.
So, well, actually, in probably 49 states, I think it's illegal. And,
It's
but
wonder what states is it legal in? Wow, yeah.
I
Huh.
think Utah just passed something. And
That's I was gonna
isn't that
think.
kind of funny? That's where it
Yeah.
started. Well, actually, it
Hmm.
didn't start there. It was in, I believe, the Middle East states in the
Okay.
1819, early
Hmm.
1900s. I can't remember exactly what date they changed the law and said,
So you're saying Utah, you think it's legal in Utah now? Is
yeah,
that what you're saying?
they just changed it though. That's recent. They were against it for years and years.
Wow, and so many of them were. You're right. Okay. Um, So so a couple people are asking, did you get you got therapy, right?
Oh,
And you're
yes.
still
I'm
working
still in
through.
therapy.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So it's helping.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Anybody that's going through anything, it doesn't matter if it's a cult, a bad marriage, whatever, get help if you need it. You know, mental health is one of the biggest issues I think this world is facing right now. And right
You're
now,
right.
especially with COVID, there is so much stress on people, and it's almost like a cult type feeling I have right now because of it. Like, we have to wear masks, you know, we have to do this, we have to do that, you have to do this, you have to salt your floors. I'm naming a few things here and there. You have to wear a veil, you have to. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, he believed that STDs is what's causing all the wars and famines and every problem we have in the world. He thinks STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, cause all of the problems on Earth.
Wait, who? Your husband, or you're the leader?
No,
of that
the leader,
cult?
the actual, yeah, the head honcho said that on
What?
Nancy Grace.
Oh, he was on Nancy Grace?
Yeah,
Wow.
when they took those children from was it Odessa, Texas? Remember the that's where Warren Jeffs went, El Dorado. The El Dorado place down there in South Texas, they were actually about an hour and a half away from us. And they went and took, I think it was like 300 children. Do you remember that? Like, I think it was like 2000, and I want to say it was around when I left that they went and took all of the children out.
So wait, that was 2007 is when you left, right? Is that what you said?
And Nancy Grace had him on about saying that it was even a darker doomsday cult than the FLDS with Warren Jeffs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they weren't going to do anything after Waco and, you know, all the trouble they went through.
Wait, did you explain how Waco was oh yeah, you did say
yes, Waco was happening when I actually went.
So and that was kind of something that scared. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I told people. It was my glue. The fear that I faced at that point, because I was a young mom, kind of, you know, and I just didn't want my children to go through that, you know. I didn't want them to have to go through being murdered or whatever, burnt up alive, or, you know, I was fearful for them. But it's what
did you ever hear?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they use fear. Yeah, no, go ahead. I mean, I'd rather you talk. So they use fear. That's a big thing, huh? Did you ever hear the preparing of people? That kind of, I know that's technically probably not.
It is kind of something that is used by religious cults. You have to be prepared, you know, doomsday preparing. Same thing. It's just a different person running it. They're all really the same. Yeah.
So what do you think of some of these Chad Daybell teachings, like the zombies and the dark light? Like, when you heard that, does that kind of ring a bell with some of the stuff they kind of?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they even went into people, like, they could see the black aura around someone, or a white aura. You know how on the pictures of Jesus, how it's got that white aura above his head? You know, it's like the light behind him. Well, they used that, and they said, well, you can tell when a person is righteous and holy. They have that white aura around their head. If they don't, they are evil and they have a dark spirit, just like they said. And that's why I was relating to what Melanie was saying, because she's been programmed to believe this. Program.
And only the leader could tell? Like, who was able to see that dark and light? Or, I mean, were you supposedly able to see it, or all the people, or just the leaders?
Usually it was just the leaders or the higher ups. You know, they wouldn't, the lay people, they didn't get to do anything, basically. They were just there for the work, to do work. That's what it became. Like, there was no pleasure, no music, no TV. It was all work. All work.
Wow. So, did they ever say anybody was like possessed? Like somebody you knew?
Oh yes. Oh, that went on. Oh my God.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, they used to go to people's trailers and cast out demons. And
Wow. Okay.
one time it was stated that somebody had sex with her to cast out hers. They had to have sex with her to
Wait,
cast out
with
her
who? Oh,
demons.
just the person they went to,
The
you
person
mean?
that was having a demon.
What? Oh my
Yeah. Oh
gosh.
no,
If that
girl.
isn't
But
like
this, I didn't find
manipulation,
out about
wow.
all of this until some of this stuff I found out after. Like,
Mhm.
it was really eye-opening after I left, and I came out, like I said, in a dream state, in a fog, and I was still protecting them because I needed to believe in something, at that point. And now I'm kind of like, you know, I kind of feel like if I try to be the best person I can be for everybody that I know, I can make a difference in my life and theirs. Other than that, I don't know. I'm spiritually kind of like in a limbo right now, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, I
that makes
believe
sense
that we were
though.
created. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's one particular religion. I want to think that the creator of the universe would have mercy and compassion on the children he made. You know, that's that's just how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Just
Yeah.
give it some time and hopefully you'll come to some kind of peace
Yeah.
in what you believe and feel. Um, do you think Lori was brainwashed or do you think that she was a part of it? Like
I
just
think
what kind of feeling?
I think it's possible that she already had mental issues like before she went, like me, like had a vulnerability somewhere. Maybe she like because she had like four four husbands, right? Didn't she
Wasn't
have
it wait,
four?
she had
Is it four or five? That's a problem
five.
right there. Think
Five.
about that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Wow.
She's got a mental problem. She did say that Lori went through things when she was young as well. Melanie, remember? She said something to the effect that Lori's mother wasn't around when she was younger. Wasn't it her that she said
Lori's,
that
I
about?
know Melanie's mother wasn't around too much because she was sick and stuff. I don't know. I must have. I can't say for sure, but I didn't catch that. Who are you talking about? Melanie Gibbs said that.
Melanie Gibb. Yeah.
Oh
She said
shoot!
something about
I'll have to rewatch.
Lori not having or was that on the Dateline or 40? Which one was that? It might have been on the
Um.
Dateline program where Melanie said that her mom wasn't around when she was
Okay,
younger or
I didn't
something.
catch that. Okay, huh? Didn't catch
I'm
that
gonna watch it
part,
again
but
and see if that's where it
yeah,
was. I
I'm gonna
can't
watch it
remember.
again
I've
too
watched
because
so much about this because I was in the cult and I was like the Chris Watts case was what brought me to YouTube and I was looking for information on it. And then when this case came out, I was like, wait a minute. Wow.
that hits home
It
for
hit
you, huh?
close. Yes, it hit
Yeah.
close.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what about one more question? And then I think I might end this and maybe we'll do like a second part, because I want to go
Okay.
through and pick out some questions.
Yes,
I'm missing a lot. And then maybe we could do a part two and I could use some of the questions. But I did
absolutely.
want to ask you one more thing about, do you think Melanie P was brainwashed? Like, do you get that same feeling about Melanie
Mm-mm.
Pawlowski as you do Melanie Gibb
No,
or no? No. Oh, okay.
no. I think both Lori and Melanie know that the niece and Lori, I think they are both culpable and responsible for all of it. And even
Yeah.
Melanie Gibb, to a certain degree, is culpable, but she came out. She came forward and went through the fear, right? She walked through the fear and went to the police, right? So I feel like she is the most honest of all of them, and that she was fooled, I believe. I really think Melanie was fooled. Melanie Gibb was fooled by
Yeah.
them.
Well,
And I think she's got a way to go before she even realizes that because
yeah.
like I said, it took me a while. So I don't see it
Yeah. She's
being
just
different for
fresh
her.
out.
Yeah. She is. She's like a baby again. If you think about
Yeah.
that, it's like I said, I was an empty slate again, coming back out. And I
Yeah.
really have empathy for her because I
What
think
about
she's going to
Ian? Somebody asked
crash.
about Ian. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so is that one of the steps you crash? Is that what you say?
Yeah, you
Or one
crash.
of the?
Yeah,
How long does that
crash.
last?
When you realize
Wow.
how affected you were and how much was you were manipulated, you go through stages of self-hatred. Why didn't I leave earlier? Why did I go in the first place? Like I said, you beat up yourself more than anybody else could. And although that's not healthy, you have to go through the process. It's like a death, right? You have stages of death. It's
Um,
fear, denial, anger, and acceptance. But there's other ones in there. Oh, that's the ones I'm just recalling. But yeah, it is. It's a process. So
but somebody asked about Ian. What do you make of? What do you think of Ian?
mm,
Melanie Malowski's husband.
I don't know about him and the other girl, Alex Cox girlfriend Zalima.
Oh,
Zalema.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think that they poisoned him.
yeah.
I think they
I know. That's
poisoned. I think everybody. I don't know. I think everybody kind of has that in the back of their mind that they poisoned him and that possibly poisoned Tammy as well.
mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, they
isn't
haven't
that
released those
in that
autopsies, so I think
malachite? Malachite is very poisonous, especially in a
yeah, if you
powdered
ingest it, I
form.
think. Yeah. So
So it's possible.
I think I feel like
Might
they
what
might
be
have found something
caused.
on Zulima's
Yeah,
autopsy. What's that?
I
What
think.
about that chlorine? Do you think a lot of cults use that? That kind of when you
Yeah,
said that,
it's
I'm like,
it's
wonder
very
if that.
possible. It's very possible. When it
Huh.
touches water, that's when it activates and goes in the lungs, and
Oh wow.
it's it
And they probably
it
don't
causes
test for that
holes.
often. Like,
No, because
wow.
it's not something that stays in the bloodstream long. It just tears everything up when it goes in, and it's gone. You
Man, I might have
know,
to look into that. Yeah. Huh. All right.
makes you
Wow.
wonder.
Well, it does. It does. I really do think, yeah, there's definitely foul play. And
Yeah,
I think they might have found something with Tammy. I don't know why they haven't released the
I
autopsy.
know that's so strange.
I
I would have thought.
I I hope they need to pay for everything that they did. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. Even Melanie, she's culpable for the part she played. There were times when she probably could have said, um, go to the police and say Lori is something's wrong with her because
yeah,
she's not producing her children. She could have maybe saved at
I
least.
know.
You
I
know, I
know.
I feel so bad for both of those children and their grandparents. Oh my, you know, I can see how they would feel now because I know what it's like to lose my own children. You know, like even
Uh,
though it was temporary for me, it killed me literally. Like I was still alive, but I was dead inside. So yeah,
uh,
but I feel for Melanie Gibb. I really do because I think that she's done the right thing, but I think she's going to have a hard knock life at this point until she realizes. And I hope she can work through it, you know, safely. Because sometimes people
yeah.
don't work through things safely, and yeah,
Because especially if she's going to blame herself, because she
right,
probably, I mean, she's aware, I'm sure of that. She could have possibly saved at least one of them, maybe both, if
right,
she would have spoke up. So she
right,
probably is like trying to do the right thing. That's what I keep thinking.
yeah,
She's trying to make up for it, even though she screwed up. She should
yeah,
have
yeah,
made some better choices, but
right,
she's trying to do the right thing now. So
right.
I guess we'll see how it all pans out, and
Because we all
hopefully
make
she's still,
mistakes.
yeah,
We all do. It's just some are to a higher degree of mistakes than others. Like,
yeah, yep, yeah.
and I think that's
Repercussions
why we
sometimes.
questioned the Chris Watts case so much, is because we're all searching for the reasoning, the why. Why would somebody mistreat his children? I mean, it's bad enough he killed his wife, right? But the degree of disrespect to the dead bodies of his babies, right? That affects every single person that has empathy. I don't think he has empathy.
I don't either. I don't either.
I think people who don't have empathy, it's really sad. And I was watching one of those documentaries, and it says that the people who are vulnerable, they don't really know, and if they don't have the empathy in the first place, there's no way they can relate. Like for Chris Watts, it was like just walking through the process, right? And even for this situation, they're just walking through the process because guess what? They're on a mission. They have to complete their mission and do what, quote unquote, God's telling them to do from the broken veil, the veil was torn too. So yeah, it's really a sad situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you escaped. I'm glad you got out. I'm glad your children are doing okay. And
definitely,
I do want to maybe we'll plan another time. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go through some of the questions they have, because I know there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
I always like, I should ask this or ask this. So I'll write them down, and then, we'll have you back on. Thanks for coming. Okay. You shared a lot of insight. Everybody was very interested, and thanks for sharing what you did. Seriously, I know it's probably hard to share that kind of stuff. So,
it is. One more thing for the last thing can I say one more thing? All religions have the capability of doing these types of things. Think about the Crusades, right? If you didn't believe what they believed back then, they killed you and your whole family. Even in the Old Testament, when God told them to kill people, they killed people. The Old Testament is full of war, and they don't leave anybody alive, or they leave the women who weren't, I don't know if you know that or not, but the scriptures in the Old Testament talk about how they only leave the women who haven't been with a man and children alive. And so,
okay. See, I don't know.
It's full of it. It's
crazy. Trying to learn. Okay. Wow.
I've heard people use the term the evil. God was evil then, and he became righteous.
Okay.
in the second test, the Testament. It's crazy.
So you know the Bible like really good, both New and Old Testament. Do you know?
Yeah, kind of, but like not anymore. Not as well as I used to. I just know some of it. Still, I know that there was a lot of war. Oh, and also, now that I'm out of the cult, I couldn't see this before, but a lot of the men in the Old Testament had polygamy. It was common, right? But every single polygamous relationship had problems, and they were horrible. Like Sarah was married to Abraham, and she gave her handmaiden to Abraham to have a baby for her because she was barren. She couldn't have children, and that was it was a devastation for a woman back then, right? And also Rachel and Leah married Jacob, but he loved Rachel, but they gave him Leah first because the firstborn had to be married first. So they tricked him in marrying her, and then he married Rachel. So the two sisters were fighting all the time together, but between each other. They were sisters. So
yeah. I have a lot to learn when it comes to the Bible. I don't even. Yeah. So wait, was there a lesson that they're trying to teach that, as far as the polygamy, that something bad would happen because of that? Was that
no?
Kind of portray that
now. Okay. I'm saying that now, that I think those were examples for us to not do that, because it just causes fighting and wars. Think about it. Like, what woman wouldn't be jealous of her husband sleeping with another woman and she knows it? Like this sister wives thing. They're not happy. I'm sorry.
So maybe that's a lesson. Maybe that's a lesson that we're supposed to take.
They're not happy. I know I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but I'm not that familiar with all of it yet, but I still do want to learn it, because I don't even know. Growing up Catholic, I know so little. Like we were saying, so little of the scriptures. It's pathetic. Like,
it is.
12 years of my life, and and I should know this stuff. Oh shoot. But anyway,
it's true.
But yeah, all right. Well, thank you.
You're
For
welcome.
coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was
I hope
a
it helps
very
some people.
interesting. Yeah, I think it did. Everybody was really into it. I could tell by their comments and stuff. So, yeah, hopefully we could plan part 2.
Okay, sounds great, Tiff.
All right, Eileen.
All right,
Thank
girl.
you so much. Talk to you
You're
soon.
welcome.
Bye.
Good night. Bye, y'all.